First at 4, a flood disaster in Metro Detroit. Firefighters have to use boats to rescue residents from water that's waist deep. We're live with the update. Many drivers finding themselves in jeopardy like this smart bus. The morning rush hour was a nightmare. Plus, Ben is tracking what's next.
Karen, no doubt Mother Nature punched us in the mouth this morning, but we get some time to recover before the next punch gets thrown. We'll tell you when that happens right now, First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Homes underwater, residents needing rescue. Heartbreaking stories from a flooding disaster.
It's all the way up to my steps, and it's coming in.
We've seen water covering cars, roads turned into rivers. It's a day many people will never be able to forget. Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. If you joined us at noon, you saw live coverage of rescues just like this one. Heavy rains poured down overnight, leading to flooding in several areas. Dearborn Heights was one of the hardest hit. Several people needed to be rescued from their own homes. And it was a wild scene early this morning as a smart bus gets trapped in the floodwaters in the area of Outer Drive and Bassett near the Detroit-Lincoln Park border. It took heavy equipment and more than an hour of work to get this bus out of there. All 8 passengers and the driver are okay this afternoon. It is a very busy news day. We've got team coverage of the flood disaster in so many neighborhoods. Ben Bailey tracking current conditions and what's next. But let's start right now with Sean Lay. He's got the story of those rescued. Sean?
We saw a half dozen or 2 dozen of those rescues. Karen, could you imagine dealing with this water coming into your home right now? We're on Courier Telegraph's right ahead of us here in Dearborn Heights. I can tell you the good news is the water is starting to go down. The bad news is we've got more rain in this area. The folks that were just sitting on this porch said there's no doubt they've got water in the house. First of all, more water will be flowing in there. We watched up and down this entire neighborhood, Dearborn Heights firefighters making at least 2 dozen rescues that we could see, and people just seem to be in shock once they get out of that boat that they now have to deal with this.
Water coming down like I've never seen before in my life. The basement was just coming, gashing water. Got up to the second level of the stairs and just kept on coming up.
Rescue after rescue.
It's all the way up to my steps, and it's coming in.
Dearborn Heights firefighters carefully wading through flooded street after street. And they're going house to house. They're getting people out that are trapped. What did you think when the fire department showed up?
Thank God for favors. It helped.
As the Ecorse Creek continues to pour into the street and homes northwest of Telegraph here.
Oh, that's her medication.
Very important.
Yeah, it's very important. The basement's gone.
How bad was it? What happened last night?
It just started coming, gushing in. Water was flying to the sides of the windows and everything, coming in. Ran upstairs to tell everybody the flood's coming and just kept on coming.
Rescue crews got this couple out with their dog. They're soaked. They're disabled. And they are weary that when big rains hit, this area gets hit hard.
It's real hard. It's real hard. We're both disabled. It's really hard.
Now back here live in Dearborn Heights, the water just unbelievable when you look up and down this street. But it's this entire area all the way back there, several blocks. Those firefighters working house to house, block by block. They said as soon as they can hit every house, that's when they'll be done. So they're still out there doing these rescues. We just saw a pet be rescued by its owner. And Karen, at 5 o'clock, some folks, as we're talking to them, just breaking down. They're just starting to kind of get the idea of how much damage to their home, basement, appliances, everything they own, pretty much gone at this point due to this water. Back to you.
Your heart goes out to those families, and the story is far from over. We appreciate it. Thank you, Sean. Now, let's get to Ben Bailey. So, Ben, can these folks finally get a break? Where do things stand right now?
A lot of us are getting a break, Karen. There's still rain on 4 Live radar. This stuff is probably not going to cause any additional flooding, but it may slow down the rate at which those waters are receding, especially here on the east side, where we don't need any more water. Look at some of these totals. These are 2-day totals, including last night. Metro Airport, over 3.5 inches of rain, more than 3 there in Tecumseh, and plenty of the area saw more than 2 inches. A lot of that focused in parts of our metro and west zones. The warning that we still have in effect is for most of Wayne County. This is an urban and small stream flood advisor, or flood warning, I should say. So that means especially those areas that are heavily populated still could be seeing flooded underpasses and also drains clogged and leading to flooding issues there. So watch for that till 6:45 this evening. Otherwise, we've got more rain in the forecast. This is tomorrow. Most of us are going to get about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch, but there will be downpours that put down over an inch. We'll talk about the timing of that. And finally, look forward to a nice weekend in just a few minutes, Karen.
Check back with you in a little bit, Ben. As you can see right here, the flooding also causing some really big problems in the city of Detroit. Sky 4 video from over Detroit's east side shows more of the same. Flooded homes, stranded cars, and roads that actually turned into rivers. Mayor Mike Duggan says coping with the flood really needs to be a community effort.
We're going to have to put tens of thousands of bags of sand down in the next 3 or 4 days. And so we are asking for members of the community, go to the city website, and if you can give us 2 hours, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, we need your help.
To hear more of what the mayor had to say and more information on how you can lend a hand, head to our website, clickondetroit.com. Coverage just getting started. New at 5, we're going to visit some homes where the basements are flooded, residents sharing their frustration. New at 6, Help Me Hank joins us with his consumer warning about some do's and don'ts for flood victims. And clickondetroit.com has extended video of the areas affected. Ousted Macomb County Treasurer Karen Spranger finding herself back in the news today as she's formally charged with larceny. Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith announced those charges today, saying Spranger allegedly stole more than $1,600 out of the account of a woman in her care. Smith says this is not about Spranger's controversial history with the county clerk's office. It's about seeking justice for the victim.
Our goal in this is obviously to make our victim whole, and it starts with today's first step of charging Karen Spranger with a crime. Our victim saw the pictures and saw the ATM withdrawals that she had not given permission to. Since that time, she is completely on board with this prosecution, and we wouldn't be here right now if she wasn't.
Smith says they're having trouble actually finding Karen Spranger, and they ask anyone with information to help track her down. If she's found guilty, she could spend up to 5 years in prison. A Detroit police corporal appeared in court earlier today to find out his sentence after being convicted in an assault case. Corporal Dwayne Jones was caught on camera repeatedly punching a woman inside Detroit Receiving Hospital last year. A jury convicted Jones of misdemeanor assault and battery last month. He was sentenced today to a year of probation and 6 weeks of anger management. Right now, a Detroit man is under arrest after allegedly shooting both of his parents and killing one of them. This happened just before 6 this morning in the area of Grandview and 8 Mile Road. Police say the suspect is a 35-year-old man who shot and killed his dad and then wounded his mom because he thought they damaged his car. At this hour, we don't have an update on the mother's condition. Now, let's go to Detroit's east side, where one woman is dead. A man is hospitalized after what police say is an attempted murder-suicide shooting that occurred late Tuesday night. We're told 4 young children and 2 other women were also in that home on Kitchener Street near Dickerson when those gunshots rang out. Police arrived to find one woman dead at the scene, and a man believed to be the shooter was rushed to the hospital. We're working the story and we'll keep you updated on his condition and, of course, any charges that may have been filed. The battle over what was really in the Robert Mueller report is still red hot on Capitol Hill. The debate reignited by this letter from Mueller to Attorney General William Barr. Now, the special counsel says Barr's first summary of the report did not give enough information or context about what was in that report. Well, today Barr is facing U.S. senators. So let's bring in Kimberly Gill. And Kim, this letter really was like a match, sparking a firestorm of questions.
Karen, good afternoon to you. The Attorney General was quick to defend himself, though. He says he spoke with Robert Mueller about that letter, and William Barr says they agreed it was the media that misinterpreted the Attorney General's first summary.
I asked him if he was suggesting that the March 24th letter was inaccurate, and he said no, but that the press reporting had been inaccurate, and that the press was reading too much into it. And I asked him, specifically what his concern was. And he said that his concern focused on his explanation of why he did not reach a conclusion on obstruction.
Democratic senators were curious about that as well. They wanted to know why it's not obstruction of justice if the president asked White House counsel Don McGahn to say President Trump never asked him to have Mueller fired.
You still have a situation where a president essentially tries to change the lawyer's account in order to prevent further criticism of himself.
Well, that's not a crime.
So you can, in this situation, instruct someone to lie?
No, it has to be, well, to be obstruction of justice, the lie has to be tied to impairing the evidence in a particular proceeding.
Well, the Attorney General's testimony went late into the afternoon, and he's supposed to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee tomorrow, although he's threatened not to show up because of concerns about the format. So much more to come. Karen will, of course, have more on Local 4 News tonight at 5. Back to you.
All right, we'll see you then, Kim. Still ahead, first at 4, there is some backlash against a popular social media site that is testing some interesting changes. We'll talk about that later in Trending Stories. And the story behind this unusual protest. Take a look. So why are all these people eating bananas in a battle over censorship? Up first, unrest in Venezuela. A leader trying to stay in power and what he says the United States is not telling the truth. More news in just a few minutes.
Can you trust the person you hire to walk your dog?